What have we here? A poor little mortal stuck in my trap. It's been so long since I had something stuck in my trap. I wonder if this one might be more fun than the last few. It certainly looks different than the last few. Interesting. 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 You definitely look like you might be a bit of fun, don't you? Hello there. What, pray tell, might a mortal like you be doing in a place like this? Don't you know it's haunted? Not haunted. Not really. You see, there's this old dwarf who sometimes used to like to come poking around in the ruins here. I think it's been a while since I've seen him. You see, time works a bit differently for us, but I do think that it's been quite some time. Maybe I scared him a bit too much last time. Anyway, that doesn't matter now, because you're here. Do you know who I am? What I am, perhaps, you might say. You think I'm a demon? Well, that is rude. Very rude. No, I'm not a demon. What on earth would give you that impression? No, I'm much more attractive than a demon, if I do say so myself. No, I'm a fairy. A shadow fairy. Haven't you heard of us? I suppose it's not that unusual. You know, the first elves who discovered us, they thought we were demons at first too. Very unpleasant. Very rude. Not a demon. I like places that are dark and quiet. That's all. You know, each different kind of fairy, we have different sort of places that we are drawn to. And mine are the places that are abandoned by you silly mortals for one reason or another. Doesn't really matter why. As long as it's somewhere where I can be, for the most part, left alone. And I have been here, for the most part. I've been here for probably a few decades or so. I look at the occasional visitor now and then. Keeps things interesting. But for the most part, I live here completely undisturbed. It's quite nice. But I can't have just anyone walking in, thinking that they can recreate this place or pillage through all of the rubble around here. So precautions had to be taken, like this little trap that you seem to have stumbled right into. Don't you know, you shouldn't go to places that are abandoned and dark. There's a reason that they're abandoned usually. Oh well, you're here now, so maybe, just maybe, we can have a bit of fun. You see, I'm quite fond of riddles. And unfortunately, dwarves, people who live around here, they are very honest folk. They say what they mean and they mean what they say, and they are very straightforward with things. And that doesn't mean that they're not clever, they're not excellent at other things. But I have found over the years that most of the dwarves who live around here are not very good at riddles. So I have to raise the stakes a little bit if I want to actually get them to play with me for a while. Yeah. Usually I tell them I'll only let them out of my trap here if they get a riddle right, or a few riddles right. Are you trying to struggle? You can't get out of there. Trust me, you're not going anywhere until I say that you're going somewhere. No. I don't care if you might have power or magic, what you mortals call magic anyway. You can't outdo a fairy. It's very, very hard to undo the magic of a fairy, and very hard to kill us. Well, unless of course you have... never mind. But you're not going anywhere. Who are you calling to? Didn't you hear me? This place is abandoned. No one's going to hear you calling for help. You're stuck here with me until I say otherwise. I mean, really, what did you expect wandering into a place like this? Especially so close to nightfall. You really should have come earlier, or maybe waited until tomorrow morning or something. Because the night, the dark, is from what I draw my power. I guarantee you're no match for me, especially not here. So, it really doesn't do you any good to try to struggle or resist. It seems like your only option is to play with me for a bit. You see, as I said, I am very, very fond of riddles. And it's been quite a while since I've had a worthy player who actually understands and thinks about my riddles a bit. So, I'll make you a deal. Fairies are quite fond of deals, did you know that? I'll make you a deal. You answer a few of my riddles, and probably I'll let you go. You just sit there and think, and I'll play fair. You can take your time with them. You can guess a few different guesses. I'm not going to penalise you for guessing wrong. We won't do anything like that. Although sometimes that is fun, but that's okay. That's okay. Unlimited time, unlimited guesses. But if you ever want to get out of that trap, you're gonna have to get them right. Doesn't that sound like fun? Well, it sounds like fun to me. Seeing as it's my trap and you're stuck here, you don't really get a say in the matter, okay? Okay. Now, you'd better put on your best thinking cap. See how well you do. I think you're going to do quite well. At least hopefully better than all those straight thinking dwarves. Let's try one out, shall we? We'll start with sort of an easy one. It's actually in quite a classic style for a riddle. Let's see how you do, okay? What always runs but never walks? Often murmurs, never talks. Has a bed but doesn't sleep. Has a mouth but never eats. You see, it's one of those classic sort of play on words, riddles. So you have to think about the words and what they mean. And then also what else they might mean, I suppose. Did I just make it more confusing? Maybe. I'll say it again for you, okay? Listen closely and think about the words, alright? What always runs but never walks? Often murmurs but never talks. Has a bed but never sleeps. Has a mouth but never eats. What do you think? That's alright. You take your time. Like I said, it's alright if you guess wrong. I'll give you as many chances as you need, as long as you keep playing my game. You just keep thinking about it. Would you like to hear it one more time? Sure, I could do this all day. I could do this for all eternity, really. Okay, now listen closely, okay? What always runs but never walks? Often murmurs, never talks. Has a bed but never sleeps. Has a mouth but never eats. Excellent job. A river. That's right. I'm so glad that you got it. Well, hopefully that helped to warm up those little gears inside your head a bit, because that was an easy one, really. I mean, it was a very classic style, like I said. These other ones might be, well, I suppose some of them are easy too, but either way, I hope that you're ready for the next one. Would you like to hear it? Okay. My life can be measured in hours. I only serve to be devoured. Slim, I am quick. Fat, I am slow. Wind is my foe. What do you think? Any guesses in that mind of yours? Would you like to hear it again? Okay. Once more. My life can be measured in hours. I only serve to be devoured. Slim, I am quick. Fat, I am slow. Wind is my foe. Personally, I think that last line is probably quite a good hint, if you think about it. Wind. Do you remember wind? It's not really wind down here, is there? Not in an underground city, especially not in underground ruins of an underground city. But you don't look like you're from here, so maybe you understand. Maybe you remember wind. It sounds like this. What do you think? A candle. That's right. Well done, you. I think you're going to be quite a lot of fun. Oh, no. We're not finished yet. Like I said, I haven't seen anyone in years, really. Do you really think that I'm just going to let you go after 2 riddles? If this is the only interaction I'm going to get for a while, I'm going to take the time to enjoy it. Are you ready for another one? Okay. 1,000 coloured folds stretch to the sky. Atop a tender strand, rising from the land, till killed by maiden's hand. Perhaps a token of love, perhaps to say goodbye. See that one, the rhyming is different on that one. Did you catch that? It's the first line is longer, and the last line is longer, and those 2 lines rhyme, and then there's 3 little lines in the middle, and they all rhyme. A bit different, but still a rather classic riddle, really. You should be able to get this one without thinking too hard. Would you like to hear it again? Okay. 1,000 coloured folds reach towards the sky, atop a tender strand, rising from the land, till killed by maiden's hand. Perhaps a token of love, perhaps to say goodbye. A flower. That's right. A beautiful flower rises to the sun until it is picked. Poor picked flower. You mortals, you can never leave well enough alone, can you? You can never just appreciate the beauty of something. You have to take it for yourselves. So sad, really. I mean, really. If you see a beautiful flower, why not just let it be a beautiful flower? I mean, I'm no flower fairy, so I don't get too protective over flowers like they can. But nature is still nature. Why do you have to assert your dominance over it. I mean, really. Let a beautiful flower be a beautiful flower. Okay, anyway, sorry. Speaking of which, okay, this isn't a riddle, but you'd still better answer me correctly, because I will know if you lie to me, okay? Especially because you're stuck in my trap. There is certainly no way that you could lie to me, so you might as well just tell me the truth, okay? What are you doing here? Why did you come to this place, to these ruins, to this forgotten, dangerous place? Why are you here, mortal? You're looking for something, really? What is the nature of this thing that you're looking for? Something powerful, something magical, perhaps? Then I have another riddle for you. Are you ready? This one I think you'll want to think very hard on. Okay? One by one, we fall from heaven down into the depths of past, and our world is ever upturned, so that yet some time will last. It's a bit of a trickier one. It's at least not as common as some of those other ones that I was giving you. But I think that you in particular will find the answer very interesting. Would you like to hear it again? So that little brain of yours can continue to think. Okay. One by one, we fall from heaven into the depths of past, and our world is ever upturned, so that yet sometime we'll last. What do you think? What do you think? Like I said, it's okay if you guess wrong. I won't penalise you for that. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? That's right. Well done. An hourglass. Just, sort of like this. Hourglass. Is this what you came here for? Interesting. You just get more and more interesting, don't you? Oh, yes, I found this quite a long time ago. Like I said, I have been here for decades, I think. Like I said, time works a bit different for fairies. At least we just don't care about time. We're sort of outside of time. Anyway. But I came here a long time ago. And I found it to be very, very peaceful. It was so secluded, so hardly visited, so away from all of the hustle and bustle of you mortals. I mean, really, there's almost no places left on the surface for shadow fairies like me to just get some peace and quiet. It's awful. But this place was glorious. I knew from the moment I came. Except on my very first day here, as I was starting to pick out a place to rest, there was something, some sort of an energy itching at the sides of my subconscious, trying to pry its way into my mind, just ever so quietly. But when there isn't any other hustle and bustle to worry about, it's quite loud, really. Yes, this sort of pressing, calling almost energy. I don't know, it's a bit difficult to understand if you're not a fairy, maybe, but something was vying for my attention. Something in this place was very, very full of energy. You know, at first I tried to ignore the call of that energy. Yeah, it was quite bothersome. I really didn't want to be bothered to do anything about it. But it kept calling. Oh, here it comes. Almost to the end. There it goes. And now we upturn it again. Anyway, it kept calling and calling and scratching and scratching and scratching and scratching and scratching at my mind until I had no choice but to locate the item of this incredible energy. That's when I found this. This curious little hourglass buried in one of the bigger buildings over there somewhere. I don't know. You didn't make it very far in here before you got into my trap, did you? And it was just sitting there, begging to be found, really. So I found it. And at first I actually tried to destroy it. I did. It was so obnoxious, completely ruining the peace of this otherwise perfect place for a shadow fairy to live. But whatever it is, the energy, the magic that's protecting this thing, I couldn't destroy it. Now that's something that's rather unusual for a fairy, just you remember that. Our energy, our magic it doesn't have the sorts of rules and limitations that you mortals place on magic, where you can only do certain things. I guess it's just because you're not powerful enough. I don't know. Anyway, we don't normally have to worry about that. Our magic is far more primal, I suppose you could say. So normally I just think what I want to happen and it happens. It's really quite simple, as long as it's within my sort of domain of power and I can draw power from the darkness and the stillness and things like that. It just happens. But this curious little thing just would not break. Which stands to reason that it was created or perhaps imbued with some very powerful magic. Curious. Anyway, the more time that I spent with it... Oh, it's going to stop again. It's going to stop. Watch. Boop. There it goes. That's my favourite part. Turn it over again. The more time that I spent with this little hourglass, the gentle calling of the energy. First of all, it was much less urgent once I actually found it, but it was still sort of there, just whispering in my ear. And the longer that I spent with it, the more I almost got used to it, in a way. Watched the sand fall from the top down to the bottom. One by one we fall from heaven down into the depths of past. It's an excellent riddle, isn't it? Yes, it certainly is. And I've actually become quite attached to it. It's almost like, well, sort of like a companion, except one that never needs anything, and never wants anything from me, and never talks back. It's quite nice, actually. Anyway, I've become quite accustomed to its presence. You seem to want this quite badly, don't you? Interesting. Very interesting. Do you happen to know the magic that affects this thing? Ritual magic. Interesting. So this was part of some sort of ritual. And being a relic in a ritual, it was imbued with this sort of power. What did this ritual do, if you don't mind me asking? Oh, it was used to seal off some powerful, dangerous source of energy, really. When was this? 300 years ago. 300 years ago? Where was this? Where did this happen? Whisperwind. I used to live near Whisperwind. In the forest. Yes, just to the north of that quaint little town. It was a beautiful forest. There was thousands of fairies that used to live there. Did you know? There's still probably some fairies that live there, but it's not nearly the same number that it used to be. It used to be so beautiful. Especially the forest, but the little town too. The other fairies would sort of flit in and out and get to know the people there a bit. And there was a sort of energy there. It was quite powerful. It was sort of this primal energy from the land. But it was very calm and very welcoming. Until one day it wasn't. And it turned into something needing. Something clawing at your minds. Not like this sort of gentle scratching, but something trying to get its claws into your mind and never let go. The whole town, the whole forest was different after that day. You see, we shadow fairies, we like the dark. But there are different kinds of dark. See, there's a dark that is peaceful. A darkness that reminds you of stillness. Perhaps of solitude, but not loneliness. Just being comfortable, being alone with your thoughts, maybe with nature, maybe with nothing. Just enjoying the comfort of the stillness. But you see, there's another kind of darkness too. There's a darkness that is menacing, that is foreboding, that is not a pleasant darkness. And that's not the kind of darkness that shadow fairies like. Well, I suppose maybe there's a few here and there who prefer that sort of darkness, but for the most part, we like the darkness that is peaceful. And the darkness around Whisperwind, it used to be peaceful. And then it changed. So this was part of the ritual. It sealed away that awful magic. I had no idea. I left Whisperwind shortly after the magic sort of burst through that awful, distorted energy. Didn't stick around. Most fairies left. Most of all of the magical creatures left, or receded so deep into the forest that you can hardly see them anymore. A while after I went back, and I saw that the magic had been sealed, that dark energy had been somehow blocked off. But it's still sort of there. And the town itself, it's not what it was. So that sort of begs the question, why do you want this? To unseal it? Why would you want to unseal that awful energy? Didn't you just hear me? You want to destroy it? Oh. Can you do that? You think so? Doesn't give me a great bit of confidence, but why not just leave it as it is? I mean, it's not great, it's still there, but at least it's not actively hurting people. There's someone else after it too. Then I suppose you'll be needing this, won't you? Be taking this? Well, I mean, it's just a thing, obviously. It doesn't really matter to me. Of course not. Though it is going to be very quiet here without this energy whispering to me, isn't it? No, I know normally we do like the quiet, we shadow fairies. But I've grown so accustomed to it. I think the quiet might be almost stifling without it. Tell you what, you've been fun so far. I'm going to give you one more riddle. Just one. One final riddle. And if you should solve it, there it goes. If you should solve it, I will let you out of my trap and you may leave with my hourglass. Okay? So you put your best thinking cap on and you try to answer this one for me, okay? Okay. He who makes me doesn't want me. He who buys me doesn't need me. He who uses me doesn't care. What am I? I'm glad that one's a bit tricky for you. You know, it's fun to play riddles with people, but if they get it too easily, then that's not as fun. I like to give out ones that might stump people just a bit. Would you like to hear it again? Okay. Listen closely. Think hard. Answering this riddle will win you your freedom and your precious hourglass. Alright? Alright. He who makes me doesn't want me. He who buys me doesn't need me. He who uses me doesn't care. He who makes me doesn't want me. He who buys me doesn't need me. He who uses me doesn't care. What could that be? It's alright, you keep thinking. Don't let the hourglass make you nervous just because the time goes down. I told you at the beginning I wasn't going to give you a time constraint, so I just like watching the time pass as each little droplet of sand passes from the heavens into the depths of the past. Every single time, it does exactly the same thing. So why is it so fascinating to watch? That's not a riddle, that's just me thinking out loud. But your riddle, you've still got to answer. He who makes me doesn't want me. He who buys me doesn't need me. He who uses me doesn't care. Would you like a hint? Here's a hint for you. The final line, he who uses me doesn't care. He who uses me doesn't care about anything anymore. He used to care quite a lot, but he won't be caring about anything anymore, ever. Does that help? He who makes me doesn't want me. He who buys me doesn't need me. He who uses me doesn't care. Excellent. I'm glad that was one that made you think a bit harder. But you got it. You used that little mortal mind of yours. Came up with the answer. A casket. A casket. That is the answer. Well, I suppose a deal's a deal. Shall we get you out of that trap? Okay. Now just hold still for me, okay? This might take just a bit. Just a bit, but it won't hurt. Just going to be sort of releasing that magical energy that I placed here. It's got you all tangled up. It's okay. Just take a moment to sort of pull it away from you. Pull it away, pull it away. Just get rid of that binding magic that's holding you to the spot. And then you can be on your way with my hourglass. You don't have to apologize. It was never really mine. Obviously, if you're going to try to destroy that awful, awful energy near that sweet little town of Whisperwind, be worth it, parting with it. Maybe someday I'll get to return to the forest near Whisperwind after you've succeeded. When do you think that will be, by the way, when you destroy that awful energy? Just a rough estimate. It'll be a long time. Why? You've got the relic. Oh, there's 6 of them. Of course there is. It's never simple, is it? It can't just be one item. It's got to be divided into... Okay, well, how many of them do you have? This is your first one. Okay, how long did it take you to get this one? Oh, well, it's going to be ages before you get all of them. Well, then we better get out of here. Get you out of here as quickly as we can, haven't we? If you're going to save that little town, you can't be wasting your time standing around here, can you? No. I've got most of that anyway. There. There we go. Just a bit more, sort of. Right there. Okay. Just a bit more. There. That should be good. Can you move now? Well, yeah, just, wiggle your arms a bit. Excellent. Good. Well, a deal's a deal. Like I said, here is the hourglass. I hope that you find the other things quickly. Hopefully they'll be a bit less complicated than this one. You don't think so? That's fair. It's never easy, is it? Can't just be, go to this place, here's the thing, have a good life. So many obstacles to overcome, always. Well, at least you don't have any more obstacles getting this one, huh? Okay. Here you are. There's the hourglass. Yeah, you took that in your bag there. Keep it nice and safe, okay? Oh, one more question. Just not a riddle, just a question, just because I'm curious. Is that your friend coming up right here? Oh,